Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Good Journeys Tarot. This is 78 cards in 78 weeks, where we have been exploring each of the cards in the tarot as I mock up what my deck might look like based on my life experiences and how they relate to the tarot. We have 7 cards left after today. Wow, that's enough for a single reading, right? So exciting to be so close to the end here, and excited to have a guest with us today to talk about the Ten of Cups. And this is a card which, you know, is probably the happiest in the deck, right? And many people will associate with family bliss, which is an idea that came from the Marseille. Um, but other decks will embrace that idea of emotional fulfillment and contentment, like the Thoth did here with their watery version. And so we'll talk about some of those different meanings and look at how different people have depicted the card with our guest today. Not much is going on here. I did introduce a sale for February. It's anything but love readings. So do hop over if you would like a 4-card email reading sent to you and check that out over on my link tree. And also got some new glasses, which will help me see you better for longer periods of time on my laptop without straining my eyes. So yay for that. So let's get started. Our guest today is none other than Julie Peekaboo Rose. Welcome, Julie.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me, Rosemary.
Yes, so glad to have you. I've seen some of your shows. I haven't actually watched Three Girls, One Deck yet, but everybody raves about it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's
I'll
a lot of fun.
have to check that out when I'm looking for new decks in the future and see.
Absolutely. Yes, it is peer pressure at its finest.
Right, absolutely. It's one reason I don't watch as many deck reviews as I used to. That's how I ended up with all
Oh,
of these
absolutely.
things back here, right?
Absolutely. Yes,
All
I hear
right.
that.
Let's take a look and see who's in our chat right now. Let's see. Special Rising is here, and as well as some other people. And I'm glad to have you guys here. We are talking again about the Ten of Cups, which tends to be that card of joy and happiness. And many people will do a version of the Smith-Waite card with their
Yeah.
little rainbow, that promise of happiness and joy going forward, and the little happy family. What decks did you pull for us today?
Well, I pulled from 7, and they're all, I tried to pull kind of different depictions than
Sure.
we would like normally see. So, should I just start with one?
Yeah, show us
All right.
one and we'll just go back and forth and I'll
Yeah,
share
that'd be
what
great.
I have
Okay.
too.
So this one might be a little odd of a choice, but this is from the Murder of Crows. So this is the 10 of Cup from the Murder of Crows. And I know that this deck has a reputation of being quite like dark, maybe, and macabre, but I don't know, something about this rendition I find actually very peaceful. You know, you've got the family of crows down here, the murder of crows, and you've got this sky, which is very, expansive, and it feels very peaceful to me, and it's like, breaking up the kind of darkness behind it. And so I feel like this was kind of a nice, diverging depiction of what we would normally see in that 10 of cups. Just yeah, it's peaceful for me. I don't know.
Looking at it, it reminds me a lot of the New Era elements, at least the way
Ah,
it colors, and it
mhm,
has that kind of, at first it seems a little dark, but it's
mhm.
actually a very peaceful, watery scene, which is a
Exactly.
way that a lot of decks will go if they choose not to embrace that family energy.
Right.
They'll focus on that overflowing of emotion through
Exactly.
water. In fact, this card taught me a new word, repletion,
Repletion.
which is
Good one.
basically another way of saying fulfilled, right?
Right.
And so, yeah, it's interesting as I work through this and I pull cards from all of my different decks, the things I learn about them that I never would have thought of.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Um, This is actually, these cards have keywords on them.
Okay.
That these are where most cards tend to land.
Hmm.
This is the Tarot of the Twirling Hands, and they call it the Lord of Familial Harmony.
Ah,
That kind of energy that we get from
yes.
fake keywords and from the Smith Waite imagery.
Hmm.
Doesn't actually have a rainbow, but
That's all right. Yeah.
black and white, right?
Right.
And then the other is that idea of that overflowing that we saw earlier
Hmm.
um, in the new era elements here in the wildwood. It's called happiness,
Mm,
and just that overflowing water sense that your emotions are
that's great.
expansive kind of
Yeah.
thing. And the third one is they call is similar in that idea of being happy somewhere and here in life in like a board game they call it happily fulfilled place.
Yes.
Um, and it's interesting. We always think about happiness with this card, but the Golden Dawn actually called this perfected success.
Hmm.
So
I
it's
can see that.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's not so I guess it's not just about the emotion, but, like, what you did to get there. Like, you're
exactly.
happy because you achieved this.
Exactly. And actually, that kind of speaks to this one example that I have. And this is from a deck that I did in collaboration with Heather Carter and Sarah from Sunset Bout Tarot. This is the Bangtan Tarot. And this is based on the K pop group BTS. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but
Mary Kay Greer talked about them all weekend
yes.
at StarCon. So
She is so dedicated army. It like just fills me with so much joy. But yes, so in this depiction, well, first of all, we have, seven guys, which I don't often see in a lot of 10 of cups depictions, like all men. And they're not related, but they certainly love each other like family. They've grown up together and they worked really hard for their success. So this is a moment where, they're at an award ceremony. And I mean, not only does it show their like love for each other, but also that emotional fulfillment as a result of the success that they've worked so hard for, that they finally have this acknowledgement and they finally have achieved, you know, that all of their goals and their aspirations together. So that's why I chose this one.
yeah, and I love that energy. I actually had several that I pulled that were different types of families than we
Mhm.
traditionally see, like the nuclear family of a husband, a wife, and two
Mhm.
kids. Like the light seers deck had two women on the rainbow with children playing, and then we had in the pocket of peers. Two men making a family with a child,
Mhm.
and then even the idea of pregnancy sometimes comes in cards. This is the Urban Tarot, and that starting a family or marriage even is an energy that some people will get with this card. And so
Yes.
I like seeing depictions of different types of
Oh,
families.
yes, yeah. Well, this one is from the Luna Soul Tarot, and so here we've got the rainbow, and we've got what to me looks like a blended family, right?
Mhm.
And in terms of gender, you can see that as very kind of a gender fluid, blended family, which
Mhm.
is a depiction that I quite like. So
Yeah, and that's an idea here in the numinous as well,
yeah.
of possibly chosen family versus
Mhm.
birth family,
Mhm. Mhm.
which can be very important. I know for myself, when I thought about happiness and contentment, it's never really been about being in a relationship. I
Yeah.
know I have some friends who they have to be in a relationship as long as I've known them. They've never been single,
Yeah.
and they've been married multiple times for that reason, but for me that's never been the case. But I do
Mhm.
find as I get older that chosen family, that being with other people is so important
Absolutely.
and to me, regardless of what form that might take.
Absolutely.
So this is kind of a dark deck, and it took me 2 weeks before I could even start working with this deck,
Okay.
and that is the dark wood,
I love
and
that.
but
Yes.
But I did finally connect with it, and I talked about that, I guess, last week when we
Yay!
did the
That's one of
card.
my
But
favorite decks.
this is here we
Mhm.
see the wolves,
Yes.
and she talks a lot about family in the guidebook, but
Mhm.
about how, and it's interesting seeing, the happy family in at night versus
Yeah.
seeing them during the day.
So
So
true.
there's that idea that that joy and contentment can be found anywhere at any time,
Yes.
and so
Yes.
yeah, but I did really love this, and I think this might hurt tarot. Also did a similar thing, except for they went with birds and
Mhm.
the happy home,
Mhm.
and so I do like when a good card with animals in it. Though I'm not much for a whole animal deck,
Yeah.
um, I do like when they're able to equate it to other things in life, right? Not
Yeah.
just the same image that we always see.
Exactly. Exactly.
In fact, I have a couple that equate it with the sun, which,
Oh.
in the major arcana is our card of joy
Mhm.
and happiness. And
Yes.
so you see a little bit of that here. You still see all of the water in this particular deck, which is the
Mhm.
light workers deck. It almost looks a little bit like an ace to me because of the hand.
Right. Yeah.
But you've got your 10 cups. So, and even the
Beautiful.
Curious Travels, it almost just looks like the sun cards
Yeah.
from the
Yeah.
Marseille, right? With the two
Right.
little
Right.
people and all. Um, Looks like the sun and moon might be in a relationship there. I don't know. It's,
I can see that.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's an interesting depiction. That's very different than what we normally see for
Mhm.
sure.
Hi, April, Tarot and Witchery. Good to see you.
Yes. I'm going to save that one for last because that's, I think, my favorite depiction. Um, so I had a couple of cards that actually had people around campfires, which kind of goes back
Mm.
to the card you showed earlier of the seven
Mhm.
men. This is probably chosen family. And again, here it's not during the day. There's not
Yeah.
really a rainbow. It's more like at dusk or
Uh-huh.
sunset when we're gathering around the fire to share stories. And I guess for some people, this would be their idea of contentment. For me, I would be slapping bugs and hot or cold, or, I'm more of an indoor person.
Yeah, I hear ya. Yeah, that reminds me of the Sassaribito because the Ten of
Mhm.
Cups in the Sassaribito is also around. It shows a campfire and it shows,
Yes.
yeah.
That one's actually here
Oh,
somewhere.
okay. Okay.
I have all these cards out that I wasn't sure if I would show or not because, so yes, again, with the
Yes, yes,
campfire
yes.
there and the 10 cups around it. This
Exactly.
is actually the Penumbra Tarot by
Penumbra.
Anthony. And
Okay.
I
And
do
then
love this
there's
deck.
a question. April was asking which was the one with the hand that you said looked kind of like, the ace.
Oh, okay.
What
So
deck
that's
was that?
called the Lightworkers
Light
deck.
workers.
And
Okay.
my guest, Grace Callis from
Okay.
tarotskills.com, did that deck. And she was here 2 weeks ago. So
Okay.
if you want to check her out, I
Cool.
also did a video with her where we went through that deck and we talked about it.
Awesome.
And she shared her vision and everything for that deck. So
Fantastic.
that was great. All right, let's see. There are other ways of depicting family, like here in the Out of Hand Tarot. She focuses
Mhm.
on like that Sunday dinner or that holiday dinner. Uh, but in good Jamie Sawyer fashion, she has the elements of the other card in the
Yeah.
background in different places.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's one of the great things about this deck is that it takes a unit. Well, most of her decks take a unique perspective, but like all of the RWS imagery people are familiar with are still there.
Yeah.
And so I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I love Jamie's artwork. She's so talented.
Maybe not those. So, do you have any more cards? I can't remember how
I
many you've gotten to share.
do.
I tend to
I
talk a
do.
lot. I get
Oh, no,
excited.
all good. Hey, your channel, your rules. So I did, well, speaking of animals, I did choose the Ten of Cups from Terror of the Cat People. And what I love about this is that you have, a man surrounded by a character surrounded by all these cats, and that is their family. So, as we were talking about before, it doesn't necessarily have to be human, blood related family, it's chosen family, it's your familiars, that all kind of counts in terms of the this familial happiness. So I really love this depiction. And then let's see here. And then, again, speaking to what you had said about not really, needing to be married, but, just another concept of happiness in that you're happy on your own and with like those you choose. This is from my Notorious JBG Tarot Mini. This is the one that I designed with public domain images from Jasmine Beckett Griffith, and I intentionally chose this lone solo character because for me, I love it when you see the Ten of Cups as just fulfillment and contentment just on your own, within yourself, not needing any external validation, not needing any external external reason, for feeling happy. You are just content on your own, and you don't need all the rest. It's nice to have all the rest, but you don't need it. So that's why I chose that. I always love when I see a solo character.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, as we were talking about the fur babies as
Yeah.
Spacia Rising, mine was getting into trouble. So
Oh
yes,
no.
yes. Sometimes they will sit here and behave themselves for a whole broadcast, and sometimes
Yeah.
not quite so much. But that like right now, one of them is perfectly content in a
Okay.
beautiful place, and the other one is ready to go outside, I think.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, we there are a lot that will focus on, that completion energy of the suit, like of the
Yeah.
water. Here we have the water swirling together, all coming together in perfection to create the rainbow in the Spacious Tarot.
Hmm.
And here it's a Marseille inspired deck, but the
Mm.
lily white tarot that has that overflowing energy, and our fish representation from our cups that we get a lot of times.
Hmm.
And then the last card I have is actually my favorite. But before I share it, do you have some more cards there that you
I
want to talk
do.
about? Okay.
I only
All
have
right.
two more. So this is from a Korean deck called the Beautiful Korea Tarot. And sorry, you can only get this in Korea. Apologize, but I had to show this because this is this in this depiction we see, we do see that familial love, the celebration of family tradition. This is showing what's called sebe, which is, a bowing ceremony that is custom during the Korean New Year. And so, when this is performed, it's showing respect and honor to the elders, and wishing them a happy New Year. And so that's what I love about this, where it's really about celebrating, crone energy. It's about celebrating family and tradition, and just wishing everyone the best in a new year. So I loved that. And the final one is from the Herb Crafters Tarot. So this is 10 of Water. And what I love about this is that, well, first of all, it has a mug with a rainbow on it. So you do get a nod, to the tradish 10 of Cups. And I'm a mug collector, so love me some mugs. And then apparently this red clover is the way that lends to the whole idea of the 10 of Cups is that it's this beautiful, vibrant flower. And I learned from the guidebook that, you only have to plant it once, and then it just kind of goes on its own. It's able to thrive and flourish all on its own. And so I just thought this just, even if you didn't know any of that from the guidebook, this to me is like happiness. Just looking at this is just beautiful, and happiness. So
Wonderful.
yeah.
So this one actually is probably where a lot of my idea came from for mine. This is the Ellis deck, and this is that
That's a good
idea
deck.
of emotional contentment
Hmm.
within oneself, and not necessarily from other people, so to speak. And I did just love it. It's
Yeah.
because I am a single person and I don't actually know what contentment looks like for me, really. This really spoke to me more so than the family imagery that we
Mhm.
get in a lot of decks. And I
Mhm.
like the rainbow is there because I love rainbows.
So do
Um,
I. So do
and
I.
so it's really great.
Yeah.
In this deck, of course, they're all mermaids in the cup suit, and it's kind of cool how they reflected the mermaid in the
Yeah.
water and all of that. So yeah, it's just this. I love this deck. I wish I could play with it more often, but when you have 80 decks, you can't use them
It's a
all at
bit hard.
the time, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a little hard to share the love. I definitely can relate.
Absolutely. And I do have some thoughts here that I wanted to share.
Mhm.
This is a book that I used last week as well. It's Tarot Dictionary and Compendium by Raina Riley, which is Jana Riley, which is actually quotes from various tarot authors.
Mhm.
And it's interesting. They all have like a very different take on the card, all things that we've talked about. But one that is mentioned here, well, a couple. One, Barbara Walker says salvation is an idea of this card. That idea that we have um,
Nice.
tained, tained, attained our salvation, right? We've worked for it and found it. And then let's see, James Wanless calls it passion, which I think comes from that Mars in Pisces energy, Mars being very passionate and driven, and
Mhm.
in this case, for happiness and contentment, so to speak, in the
Mhm.
Pisces sign. Um, and then friendship rather than family is
Yeah.
something that RJ Stewart said. Some of these authors I wasn't as familiar with. So now I have to go back and look at their books. But it was interesting. I learned a lot of new words for happiness this week, like satiety from the Thoth and some other words that popped up. Um, the one book that really gave me a great perspective on the shadow side of this card was, of course, 78 Degrees
Mm.
by Rachel Pollack. Because some people will say, yeah, there's not really a shadow side to this card. It's
Hmm.
more or less just, you got to take the last step to get there. And then other people will talk about it being completely the opposite of the upright meaning.
Yeah.
And Rachel kind of summed it up that way. She's like, it's basically two things. First, there's the emotion turns against itself. So it's a situation that's highly charged, a domestic or romantic relationship that goes wrong.
Mhm.
Um, or alternately, it's this idea that you failed to recognize that you're there or that you
Mhm.
failed to take that
Mhm.
last step to achieve it, which to me kind of points back to that Nine of Cups. So there are a lot of key words that are similar for those two cards,
Yeah.
the nine and the 10, like uh, joy and happiness and that type of thing. The difference being in that nine, the person was almost kind of protecting what they had. It was all right behind them and everything. Whereas
Mhm.
in the 10, it's kind of above them, like they have let it go. They've accepted it and embraced it, and it's become a part of them. Their success,
Mhm.
that is, I guess.
Mhm.
Um, so, what are
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on the shadow side?
I mean, I definitely think there is one for sure. When I think of Ten of Cups in shadow, along with all of your descriptions, which I totally agree with, I think there is an aspect of, yeah, not acknowledging the present, not necessarily living in the present and feeling the gratification of the present, and always wishing for that 10 of cups, right? And not fully living your life as you can, thinking that the grass is always greener on the other side, or that I'm still waiting for that perfect partner, the white picket fence, all those things. And so You're constantly waiting and waiting and waiting, and life is passing you by, right? All the joys that life in the present has is passing you by. So I kind of see that as kind of one of the shadows of the Ten of Cups, as well as not honoring yourself, not honoring yourself and your worth, letting external circumstances take that away from you, instead of being truly content and loving, truly loving who you are, just as you are. And for me also, Ten of Cups reversed can be loneliness, wishing for, for that Ten of Cups, right? Wishing for all that it has to offer, but feeling like you're isolated and you're alone and longing for that. And so I feel like those to me all kind of signify shadow, Ten of Cups shadow. So
Yeah, there's this kind of aspect to the 10 compared to the 9 of gratitude and
hmm
being grateful of everything that you have,
hmm
and maybe on the shadow side, not recognizing that
recognizing that,
gratitude.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So, are you ready to look at my card?
Yes, let's do it. I'm excited.
So, I did not put so as I've gotten closer to the end and I have so many other cards,
hmm
um, some of them go really quick. Like this one, I made one image and that was it. I just stopped because I thought about what other cards it was related to in the deck, and for me at least. And so then I used aspects of those cards, and then it just kind of came together. Um, every time I think about updating it, I think, yeah, I don't think I need anything else, but we'll see what everybody else thinks.
hmm
So this is what I ended up with, which some people have already seen on social media yesterday. Which is, it's
Oh,
again a lot, unbeknownst to me at the moment, was largely inspired by the Ellis deck. That idea of, and this is the image that I used for the High Priestess. Um, and I definitely wanted the rainbow in there, but I didn't want the
yes.
rainbow to be like a rainbow in the sky. Uh,
hmm
I like the rainbow as a representation of a promise, not necessarily from a divine source to us, but to us to basically a promise to ourselves to appreciate what we have, maybe.
Yeah,
Um, and
I
so,
love that.
yeah,
I
it's
love
pretty
the
simple.
purple. Ah, so great. I love, once again, I love that it's a solo character. It's one of my favorite depictions. So
Yeah.
love
I
that.
had thought, maybe they need to be sitting on something in the water, or maybe there need to be fish in the water, but I don't know. I guess I like that it's simple because I'm not sure how I envision this card in my own life yet.
hmm hmm
And that seems to be how a lot of the cards that are more simple in my deck have come across, because they're
hmm
more conceptual than a reality that has
hmm
happened.
Sure.
Whereas other cards are specific scenes
Right.
from my life. So,
Right. Fantastic.
yeah. So tell us a little bit about what you've got coming up, if anything that you're excited about, or what you want everyone to know about you and your upcoming work. And I will shuffle these 7 cards relentlessly.
Okay. Well, I mean, we usually do our, three girls, one deck, live every month. So the next one will be March 11th, Saturday, March 11th. And then in terms of my own channel, I mean, it's just the usual, trying to, post more regularly and, yeah, just kind of, be better about posting more regularly. I'm very sporadic, and people are so understanding about that, but that is an intention of mine in 2023, to be better about that. So that is pretty much it. Yeah, just kind of keeping
Okay.
it low key as I, kind of make my way through the beginning of 2023. So yeah,
Okay.
that's really it.
So do you know what your next deck is, or do you guys wait and reveal it at the show, or?
For the next three
Yeah.
girls. Yeah, I don't think we discussed what the theme of the next
Okay.
one is. This past one we did Oracle decks.
Okay.
So I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna have to talk to Heather and Sarah about that. I'm sure.
Okay,
To be
wonderful.
determined. So yeah.
So I do have 7 cards left. So
Okay.
if you will choose a number between 1 and 7, then we'll decide what card Jennifer Phoenix and I will be doing next week.
Okay, I'll do number 3.
All right, same time, same place, and it is the 4 of Pentacles.
Oh,
The
that's
odds
a
were
nice
pretty good it was a
feeling.
pentacle because I have 3 out of 7 cards were pentacles. So
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
so this should be an interesting card. It's not one that I really have an idea in my mind of what it might look like. And
Okay.
I find that the pentacles are a suit that I struggle with.
Oh, okay.
There's some shadow work that needs to go on there. In fact,
Ah.
since I've had the Darkwood Tarot, 90% of the cards I've drawn from it have been
Oh,
pentacles.
really?
Even when I was doing my shadow work class with Jen Sankey, it was
Yeah.
all pentacles. And I'm like, okay, great, great. Yeah.
Yeah, Darkwood
So,
can be tricksy like that. That's
yes.
fantastic.
But so that'll be our card, which I guess some people consider about greed and others about control. And I guess those are things that we'll talk about
Yes, I look
next
forward to
week.
seeing that because I definitely have my own ideas about that card. So yeah, that'll be
Oh,
fun.
wonderful. Guys, don't forget to check out the link tree, which I pinned in the chat. And I will also have that in the description a little later
Mhm.
for Julie's decks and other content that is forthcoming. And thank you, everyone, for being here. Until next time, good
Thank
journeys.
you. Bye, everyone.